Another week, another close ASU loss. The Sun Devils unable to get the job done here in Seattle against the fifth-ranked Huskies, falling short 15-7. ASU now 1-6 overall in the season, still seeking that first Power 5 victory. Nick Borgia of Devil's Digest, alongside our publisher Hode Urbino. And Hode, this loss might be the most bizarre one yet that we've seen this season. The ASU defense holding arguably the most powerful offense in all of college football to 0 offensive touchdowns, 4 turnovers, and it still wasn't enough for ASU to get this victory.
Yeah, you're right, Nick. I mean, on the one hand, this loss is really just a cruel deja vu for a Sun Devil team that should have beat USC, should have beat Cal, should have beat Colorado, and did come up short in all those 3 contests. And now the Washington loss is just one more game that falls into that would have, should have category. And it is kind of ironic, Nick, that all season long we've been talking about this ASU defense playing very, very well and never getting the support from the offense and never getting support from special teams. And tonight it was just wash, rinse, repeat from what we saw against Cal, from what we saw against Colorado, from what we saw against USC. So the frustration in the locker room, the frustration among the fan base is definitely something that is unfortunately rational for all the wrong reasons. And I've said for weeks now that this defense, even with all the lack of turnover issues it was having, was a very good group. One of the best groups we've seen in Arizona State, I would say, since probably that run with Todd Graham in 2013, 2014. A unit that absolutely is able to impose its will in almost every game that they're playing, always keeping the game within arm's length. The fact that Washington still only had 3 points on the scoreboard until about 12 minutes left in the game tells you everything that you need to know. There is no defense on Washington's schedule up until this point that even came close to frustrating quarterback Michael Penix as much as the Sun Devils did tonight. But when we're just getting really, again, 0 support from the offense, 0 support from special teams. There's only so much you can ask this defense to do, and this defense did really above and beyond, and just gave the offense one opportunity after another, and they very much squandered it. So as much as we're going to talk about the negatives in a second, I think it's really important to talk about the positive that is the ASU defense. Brian Ward, the defensive coordinator, did an absolute masterclass in containing an offense, which you and I, in our preview piece just a few days ago, didn't believe that even Brian Ward, with the great group that he has of coaches and players, would be able to really contain Washington even close to the level they able to contain him tonight. I think that Brian Ward absolutely provided a blueprint for every opponent on Washington's schedule from here on out. We'll see if they can execute at the level Arizona State did tonight, because let's face it, that is a really, really high bar to clear.
Yeah, so the ASU defense clearly pulling their weight. But when it comes to the offense and special teams, like you mentioned, what exactly did you see there? I mean, there was a crucial pick 6 by Trenton Bourguet late in the 4th quarter. But aside from that, the ball was getting moved. They just weren't scoring. Yeah,
I mean, you see in Arizona State offense that really came with a game plan to control at the time of possession and run the ball well, because that was the glaring deficiency in the Washington team. And I think Arizona State did a great job to the tune of 145 yards rushing. Did not take any sacks. You had DeCarlos Brooks coming back from injury. He hasn't played since week 2. And boy, was he missed. When you see his contributions tonight, 10 carries, 63 yards. That obviously translates to a 6.3 yard carry. Cam Scadabu with 51 yards, averaging 4.6 yards. So those 2 running backs, as we expected when the season started, really just led the charge for the ground attack for Arizona State. The problem is that the passing game just was not there. And obviously you can look at the pick 6 by Trenton Bourguet and really just say that maybe that was his night, in a nutshell. But really there were struggles all throughout the game. Even though the offensive line did not give up any sacks. I think Trent Bourget was definitely under duress quite a bit. But when he did have time, there were a lot of misfires. He passed for only 196 yards and needed 47 pass attempts to actually accomplish a number, which is very pedestrian. So this is definitely a night that Trent Bourget would not want to remember. I think another player that really had a rough outing was the tight end Jalen Conyers. I mean, we talked all season long that he is nowhere the player that he was last year, really struggling time and time again. There was a little period during this game where we actually had not only 2 receptions, but really imposed his physicality on the defender. And you thought, okay, maybe the quote-unquote old Jalen Conyers, and we're only talking about the 2022 version, is finally back. And then he has a crucial drop on a 4th down play. Arizona State only 2 of 6 on 4th downs. And one of the reasons they really had to take even more chances than the Kenny Dillingham offense usually takes is the issues they're having at offensive line. Max Intercore, the right tackle, was injured, did have to leave the game. Cade Briggs, who came back from injury, was in and out of the lineup. And Kenny Dillingham said that basically when you're down essentially 2 offensive linemen, you cannot attempt field goals. And I know that might sound really bizarre, but that's really the situation that Arizona State is facing. I mean, Kenny Dillingham, and I think he was saying it only half jokingly in his postgame, if there are any big bodies out there on the Tempe campus that might weigh 300 pounds or more, please come and try out for the field goal team for Arizona State, because all jokes aside, you really need those bodies right now in the lineup. So you had place kicker Dario Longetto. He did have a 31-yard field goal attempt, hit the crossbar. Had another one from over 40 yards that was blocked. And you just know that at that point, you really have to be very, very careful on what you're going to expect, what you're going to ask your place kicker to do. Again, that, along with the issues he had on the offensive line, really caused Arizona State, again, to take more chances than usual. They were only 2 of 6 on 4th down. But, you also look at the 3rd down conversion rate. It was 5 of 17. So this is an offense that did well on the ground. I think really should have ran the ball more than they actually did because of the struggles of Trent Bourget, because of the struggles of the passing game in general. But really just intertwined with the special teams issues really caused Arizona State to score only 7 points. It's been a long time since we've seen Arizona State score that low of a figure in a Pac-12 game. And it looked like for 3 quarters, Nick, that maybe they were able to get away with that just because the defense was absolutely playing out of their minds. But we just knew that it was going to come a point where the defense was going to buckle. It never really came to that point, I don't think. It really was, ironically, a pick 6, what gave Arizona State an upset win in Tempe over the same Washington Huskies last year. Now, unfortunately, the Sun Devils did get a taste of their own medicine. And you just can't say enough. What a shame when there was an absolute defensive masterpiece for the Sun Devils that was not even close to being complemented even by an average performance by the ASU offense and the special teams. Just a real shame because Arizona State missed a golden opportunity to shock the world of college football, to finally get that elusive first Power 5 win on the season. And as I mentioned earlier, we talked about that after Cal, after Colorado, after USC, and here we are talking about this again. And this is definitely a cycle that Arizona State wants to break. Kenny Dillingham, plain and simple, said, we are just finding new ways to lose each and every week. And again, that's one of those statements which you think somebody's joking when they're saying that, but unfortunately, it's the really plain and ugly truth right now with this program.
So aside from getting healthy and potentially even running some special team walk-on tryouts, I feel like I ask you this question every week, but what does this team need to focus on or do to try and get that first Power 5 win as they host Wazoo next week?
Yeah, they just really need to keep on fighting, and they just really need to believe that every game that they're going to play, that they're actually going to win. And again, I know I'm probably talking to a lot of bettors out there, Arizona State is really just a surefire to cover the betting line. And look, and I don't want to like turn this to a Bet MGM show or anything like that. But you just see that Arizona State, every time this year they were a double-digit underdog, not only did they cover, they cover with ease. I mean, it's nobody betting on ASU tonight was really sweating it out or anything. They were probably thinking if they're going to maybe transfer the winnings tomorrow to the NFL games because that was really secure in their account. But Kenny Dillingham said that he's not worried about the buy-in of the players. He's not worried about the team culture, even though it's loss after loss. Now it's actually 6 losses in a row. He's not worried about these players fighting. So that's a foundation that has to exist in order to win. And Kenny Dillingham, and you really should watch the postseason comments that Nick filmed. He was very candid. He said, "Look, there are issues with the offense. We are definitely not getting over the hump. We're not really winning those critical moments of the game, and it's on me. I mean, I'm not only the head coach, I'm also I would say, de facto offensive coordinator. That's my words, not his, because he took over the play calling duties from week 4 and on." And Kenny Dillingham said, "I need to find a way to to get this offense going." You're definitely having issues right now in special teams. I mean, when finally the issues in the punting department did solve themselves. I mean, Longetto, to his credit, did actually punt the ball really well. Cam Scadaboo, the quote-unquote emergency punter, also did his job as usual. But now, when the punting issues are solved, now the field goal issues are just resurfacing. From I guess the game against Colorado when there was another missed field goal. So that's something that needs to be figured out. But really, I think it's more on offense that they just need to find ways to get this offense going, to really have a more balanced attack, and really just to win those critical moments of the game. I mean, even Washington not scoring an offensive touchdown when they needed to move the ball and get into field goal range, they were able to do it. And to their credit, their kicker did much better, obviously, than the ASU kicker, and that really was the difference. Aside, obviously, also from the pick six. About the ASU defense, I mean, look, I'm sure that Brian Ward, the perfectionist that he is still going to find plenty issues when they have the film session on Sunday. But honestly, Nick, this defense is just in cruise control, and I mean it in every positive manner. They are just playing well week after week after week. They are shutting down explosive offenses like Colorado, like Washington tonight. And even USC, I mean, you look at the box score, maybe a little deceiving. They really frustrated that Trojan offense quite a bit. And they got Washington State coming up this Saturday. Washington State not doing too hot themselves. They're coming off 3 consecutive losses into Tempe. I would like to think that if there's any game that Arizona State can win, maybe that's going to be that one, because I don't think road games at Utah and at UCLA, home game against Oregon, and home game against Arizona in the Territorial Cup, and this is a very resurgent, Wildcat team. I know it may not be music to the ears of any Sun Devil fan, but that's the reality right now. So another golden opportunity for Arizona State to hopefully put everything together. But honestly, Nick, this is might be a tall task right here to ask the offense and ask the special teams to play much better than they have tonight, much better than they have for most of the season. And for that really to happen, there's going to have to be a sharp 180-degree turn from what we saw tonight. We'll see if that happens on Saturday. Another quote-unquote moral victory. There's a lot for this team to feel good about. Obviously, more on the defensive side, but maybe it's just another necessary building block, another necessary learning curve that this team has to go until they finally get, as I mentioned, that elusive first Power 5 win.
All right, Hode. Well, thank you so much, as always, for your insight and for continuous coverage of this Arizona State football team as they prepare for Washington State this coming weekend. Keep it locked in DevilsDigest.com and drop a follow at Devils Digest for all the best live updates. I'm Nick Borgia. That's Hode Urbino. We appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you back in Tempe this week.